Bible Expository Script. Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 to 32, KJV. Opening. Today we turn to Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 through 32, a passage that speaks deeply about human ambition, divine authority, and God's redemptive plan unfolding through history. This chapter contains two major movements. First, the story of the Tower of Babel, and second, the genealogy from Shem to Abram. Together, they reveal not only what humanity sought to build, but what God was preparing to establish. Scripture reading, KJV, selected flow reading. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Genesis chapter 11 verses 1, KJV. At this time, humanity shared a single language and a unified culture. As people migrated eastward, they settled in the land of Shinar, and began to build a city and a tower whose top would reach unto heaven. Their words are striking. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. So the Lord confused their language, and from there scattered them over the face of the earth. Therefore the name of it is called Babel, because the Lord confounded the language of all the earth. Historical and cultural background. From a historical perspective, Babel likely reflects the great Mesopotamian civilizations, famous for their ziggurats, massive step towers used for religious purposes. These structures were not merely architectural achievements. They symbolized humanity's attempt to reach the divine realm on their own terms. In Hebrew thought, the problem was not technology or unity itself. The problem was direction, unity without obedience, ambition without submission. Hebrew perspective and meaning. The Hebrew word Babel is connected to Balal, meaning to confuse or to mix. Ironically, what humans intended as a monument to unity became a symbol of fragmentation. Notice this carefully. God does not destroy the tower with fire. He simply speaks, and language is divided. This reminds us that communication itself is a gift from God, and when humanity rejects God's authority, even our words lose their power to unite. Theological insight. At Babel, humanity said, "Let us make a name for ourselves." But throughout Scripture, salvation always begins when God says, "I will make your name great." This is not just a story about the past. It is a mirror for every generation. Whenever human civilization seeks greatness without God, confusion follows. But whenever God calls a person, a family, or a nation, his purpose is not confusion, but blessing. Spiritual meaning and God's will. Here is the deeper spiritual truth. Babel represents human-centered unity. Abram represents God-centered obedience. Immediately after the Babel account, Scripture introduces a genealogy leading to Abram. This is no accident. While humanity was trying to climb up to heaven, God was preparing to come down through a promise, a covenant, and eventually through Christ. God's will was never to scatter humanity in judgment forever, but to gather humanity again, this time through faith, not pride. From Babel to Pentecost. Spiritually, Babel finds its answer in Pentecost. At Babel, one language became many. At Pentecost, many languages proclaimed one gospel. What pride divided, the Spirit reunites. This shows us the heart of God. Not control, but redemption. Not confusion, but restoration. Closing reflection. Genesis 11 teaches us that progress without God leads to confusion, but obedience to God leads to blessing beyond imagination. God is not against unity. He is against unity that excludes Him. When we build our lives on His calling rather than our own ambition, He leads us not into scattered confusion, but into His eternal purpose. Thank you.